dreamy fabric, dreamy pattern design, and a super wearable everyday piece. I think we have 3 key ingredients to a very fun item of clothing today. Ooh, I can't wait to make it. So I hope you enjoy coming along on this journey with me as I create a dreamy blouse with an oversized collar and a very pretty Valentine's Day / springy fabric. Let's get to it. Hi, I'm Caitlin and welcome to my channel, CaitMakes. If you've watched my last few videos, then you know that I've been trying to make more super wearable everyday pieces, but that have a really fun twist that make them worth making by hand. Something that's really special and has some very me touches, or just something a little above and beyond what you can easily buy at the store, because why are we taking all this time to make our clothes ourselves if they're not super special? So today we are making a super dreamy blouse with an oversized collar. I have been looking at these for forever. We're going to be using Bric Rack, which I've never used before. If that sounds like fun, then stick around and let's get into this video. I am going to be using a new pattern. This is the Puff and Pencil tie blouse pattern with lantern sleeves. For the fabric, I'm really excited to finally use something that has been in my stash forever. I'm kind of treating this project as a little de-stash. I'm trying to use up all of the fabrics that are waiting patiently in my little organization system back there. One of them is this fabric here, which is a really special floral fabric. Got this at a local shop when I lived back in Maryland. I now live in California. I bought it in a really random amount because I just loved it, but I didn't have a project in mind for it at the time. Bought like a yard and a half, I think, of this. And unfortunately, I was hoping to be able to make this top completely in this floral fabric, which I think would be so cute, but I just didn't quite have enough. So I am getting a little bit creative here, and I'm actually going to be making this shirt in black cotton and in this. So you can see there's black details throughout this, the centers of the flowers, and then some of the like lining. So I'm going to be doing the main like base of the pattern in black, and then all of the fun details like the collar, and then the lower part of the puff sleeves are going to be in this. So it's a little bit of a risk for me, especially a little bit out of my comfort zone to like mix and match the colors like this. If you watched my sewing plans for 2024 video, I'll link that here. I talked about wanting to be more brave with my fabrics, so this is going to be an attempt on that. And then also I wanted to add more creative details. I'll show you an inspiration photo of a top similar to this that I've had on my Pinterest for quite a while, and it had some beautiful Bric Rack details and just really playful, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to do with this top today. And yeah, I've just wanted to try using Bric Rack forever. I think there's so many fun things you can do with it, so I think this is the perfect opportunity. I'm planning on adding it to the collar and to the base of the sleeves, and then we'll see if I have enough to play with. I didn't specifically buy it for this, it's just been kind of waiting back there. So as there's 2.5 yards in this, we'll see how far that gets me. So that's kind of the plan for today. A really fun, playful top, kind of in the mood for Valentine's Day, but also just, you know, spring in general. And I think because I'm pairing it with black, it should hopefully get a little less seasonal, a little more wearable for any time. It's not just fully a floral top, but we'll see how it ends up turning out. But I am hoping that all these details come together well and look good like they do in my head. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. Let's hope that it turns out cute and that I don't think what was I thinking at the end of this. So yeah, let's get into the sewing. I hope that your sewing is going well. I hope that whatever goals you set for yourself, you're being brave enough to try them. Let me know in the comments if you're working on something that's out of your comfort zone or something that you've set as your goal for this year, or if you have something coming up that you're really excited to tackle. I would love to hear about it down in the comments. I love to hear how everybody's progressing in their sewing. Anyway, let's get into sewing this top. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is the shoulder seams for this vest, basically, for the top here. I did go ahead and cut everything with pinking shears, so I'm going to resist doing French seams today, save myself some time. We'll see if I regret it later. Did just do that little bit of extra work at first to keep it from fraying, and I'm just going to be doing, you know, regular stitches as I go. I'm not even going to bother pinning these top seams together just because it holds itself so well. Absolutely love working with cotton. So easy. Got a little coffee delivery from my husband. Yay. As I'm taking my little coffee break here, figure might as well try to keep track of the time. So it's currently 9 a.m. right now. I've only done the shoulder seam stitches, so I think we can still count it as 9 as far as sewing goes. And I'm gonna keep track and see how long this takes. I think it's going to be fairly quick, so let's see. Okay, so next up is the facing. 2 front facing bits here and then a back facing. Okay, now I'm going to sew them together like this. Okay, now we'll take the blouse portion with right sides up and then the facing, right sides towards the blouse. And we're going to connect these side seams. And now we do need some pins. It's at this stage of the project every time when I realize how badly I need to make myself one of those wrist like pin cushions. Oh, it would be so useful. I understand why everyone has them. Also, I think they're very cute. So that's a future project for sure. I want to make myself one. I definitely don't want to buy it. Like, if it's something for sewing, I feel like I have to make it myself, right? On that note, if any of you have made your own wrist pin cushion, put your tips below, because yeah, I have not looked into how to do it at all yet, but I think it should be fairly simple. Finally, this is all pinned. Now let's sew it together. And now I'm going to trim the seam allowance down a bit more and cut notches all along where there are curves. I just gave everything a really good press and I'm so excited. It's looking so good. Yay. I feel like this is gonna go so fast. I already have a whole vest. Yay. Next up we have the lantern sleeves, which is where the floral fabric comes in for the first time. I'm so excited. So these sleeves are in 2 parts. There's an upper part and then a lower balloon or lantern part. So the upper part I'm going to do in the black fabric so that it kind of continues the line. And then I am going to do the puffy part in the floral. And I am a little bit nervous about this. I hope that it looks good. We're about to find out. So let's go ahead and put these together. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 gather stitches at the top of this sleeve here. I'm so excited to finally be using this fabric. It's so satisfying to use fabric out of your stash. Like, I really try not to keep too many fabrics on hand, but somehow I still have quite a bit. Maybe someday I'll show you my stash. Let me know if you're interested in seeing one of those videos. I'm just so glad that it's finally being put to use and not just sitting there being beautiful in a box. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to sew these gathering stitches. Alright, now let's gather these up. There's one. Now to the second sleeve. Alright, 2 gathered sleeves. Next up we have the upper part of the sleeve that we are going to attach to the gathered part of the sleeve. And I'm just going to be stretching out this gathering until it fits the whole portion here. Okay, so now I have the bodice, the vest portion, with the wrong sides facing up, and then the sleeve with the wrong sides facing up. The directions described it slightly differently, and it was a little confusing to me. I did already do the other sleeve first to make sure that what I'm going to tell you works, and it does. So, yeah, you'll want to do wrong sides up for both, and then you're going to like pinch them together here. Make sure that the center of the sleeve is in line with the shoulder seam, and then I'm just going to pin all along here. Now the confusing part about doing armholes, which I've kind of just started to do, there is ease here. So the arm portion is going to be slightly bigger than the armhole, but magically it works out. So if you just pin the center and then I pin the ends here, and you can pin all the way around, which is what it recommends you doing, but the way that I have found the most success is to kind of pull the fabric as I go, and you're kind of putting tension and pulling whatever the smaller portion is to fit the edge, and just make sure you're really keeping all the edges super in line. So if I had a more slippery fabric, I would pin this a ton, but because the cotton is really easy to work with, for the other one I really just kind of pinched it and sewed as I went. And I did from the center out just to make sure that the sleeve is nice and even, because worst case scenario, you could always trim off a little of the extra if you needed. I didn't need to, but yeah, that's my advice for you as you're doing sleeves. If you haven't done them very much, fitting something that isn't exactly the same size seems kind of odd, but yeah, it does end up working out. So let's go ahead and sew this second sleeve. So I'm just making sure to put tension on the lower part of this, which is the part that's attached to the bodice, so that's really tight, and then the arm sleeve fabric can just kind of softly lay on top of it, but the other one has a lot of tension, so that way you're really getting it to stretch a little bit. Looking good. Now I go from the center to the other side. We're starting to get an idea of how this is going to turn out. I'm still a little bit nervous about my fabric choices, but hopefully I like it in the end. We'll see. Next up, right sides together. I'm going to sew all the way from the base of the sleeve to connect the bottom of the armhole, and then all the way down the side of the blouse. I'm going to do that on both sides and then do the hems. So we're getting very close here. Let's check the time. It is 10:44 right now. Let's keep going. So I actually just remembered that I do want to do rickrack on the base of the sleeve. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now, so that I can go ahead and include it in this hem I'm about to do all along the base to connect the sleeve. So I'm going to do that first. I think the rickrack looks so cute with this fabric. I think I'm going to put the rickrack, to be safe, 3 inches down from the raw edge right now. And that should leave me plenty of space so that it should still be visible, but close to the end of the sleeve, because I don't want it, you know, awkwardly in the middle of my wrist. I would like it close to the bottom, but not too close where you can't see it with the gathering. So hopefully 3 inches is enough. I think that's going to do it. I have never sewn rickrack before. I'm planning on just doing a straight stitch. I feel like maybe you're supposed to do a zigzag stitch. I have no idea really, so I'm going to just give this a go and hope for the best. I think it's so cute. Okay, it's currently 11:19 and unfortunately I have to stop here, but we are leaving off with it almost done. So I have the whole top of the bodice finished and the rickrack on. Now I just need to do the hems. I still have a collar to do, and I still need to do the elastic at the bottom of the wrist. So I'm going to leave you here, and then I will catch back up with you in a couple days to finish this top. So see you soon. Bye. It's only been about 2 seconds for you, but it's been an entire weekend for me. So came back from my weekend away, and I am picking up where I left off. So we have nearly an entire finished blouse here. Also realized when I came back to this today that I should have sandwiched the ties when I did the lining here. So I'm going to have to undo a little bit of these seams and put those in as well. So that's where we're starting right now. I'm going to go ahead and sew up all of my little strips so that they can be the ties that are going to close this. As of right now, I'm planning on just doing 2 like it calls for in the pattern. I might want to do 1 more. We'll see how well it closes with just the 2. But first I'm gonna try it how they have it designed. And then the next thing I'm doing is another strip, which is going to be the ruffle for the collar. So kind of a lot of the same sort of sewing right now. Probably do a little montage for you. And then we will get into the collar, which we have you know, 2 rounded pieces like this. For you to get an idea, it's going to be something like this, nice oversized collar. So I have 2 pieces like this to sew together, and then there's going to be the ruffle on the outside. So I think that's going to be super cute. I am excited to get into it. And then while I was out this weekend, this is what's left over of the 2.5 yards of rickrack that I had originally. I couldn't find this exact size. For reference, this is a medium size. I found a jumbo and a mini, so the 2 opposites of what I needed, but that was all the Joann's that I went to had. But I might be adding some of that in as well. Glad I at least have some extra in case I don't feel like there's enough fun and frill on this very fun top. So let's get into sewing and finally finish this top. Oh, it was so hard leaving this project for the entire weekend when it was so close to being done, but we were going out of town and we had to leave at a certain time. So yeah, very excited to finally finish this. Let's go. One done, 3 more to go. I hate this part. I have complained about turning out straps a million times, but can we all just continue to commiserate and agree as a group that this is the worst process in sewing? Oh my gosh, so boring, so tedious. Oh, it's out. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So close. And then finally it starts to move. I am using a like thick waxed thread. This is actually like my point shoe ballet thread, but I just like to use something thicker and nicer for this process so that you can really yank on it without worrying that your thread is going to snap, because that would be the worst. Okay, second one done. Okay, straps are finished, thank goodness. Or at least they are flipped out and ironed nice and flat. Oh, so beautiful. I am here to attest that the safety pin method does not hold a candle to the like needle and thread method. So if you don't know that one, just in case, I'm sure you do, but put your needle through, you know, tie a knot at the end, and then I do a second one. And then you treat it just like you would the safety pin. You just feed it through and pull it to flip the strap. But for spaghetti straps especially, this just works so much better. And in general, I just think safety pins can like stretch out really easily or get over pulled if you're using like a really thick thread like this. I feel like this is a no fail method. So if you would also like to join the I Hate Turning Out Straps Club, but would like to be slightly less miserable about it, highly recommend the needle and thread method over any of the other methods that I have tried. Anyway, that's the straps. And then now I have the ruffle to do. And again, because I'm really using a bit of fabric that wasn't large enough for this project, which is why I'm using 2 fabrics for it. The ruffle fabric needed to be pretty long. I think it was 141 centimeters, something like that. I think this is a bit longer than that, but I feel like it's always better to have a little extra to over ruffle. This was just kind of the length of fabric that I had left. This is actually the bit I'm getting to, is this is 2 different pieces. I decided just to sew them together. I really don't think you're going to be able to notice this seam once it's all ruffled. So if you also are running low on fabric and don't have enough, do what I did and just do, you know, however many strips you need to. Just make sure you have the right width, and then, you know, you can just keep attaching them until it's long enough. So I am going to go ahead and work on this ruffle now, and then I'll finally get to the easier part of doing the actual collars. All of this turning out nonsense done with first. As you can see, I have the ruffle finished here, and I am just pinning it along the collar, and then I am going to go through now and basically sandwich these together. So I'm going to take each pin and remove it and then put it back in so that it is holding all 3 layers of fabric, and then I'll go ahead and sew over that whole thing. When you do this, you just want to make sure that the ruffle bits are facing towards the center, not outward. This was a very slow process, getting it to the right amount of ruffle to fit around this, but it is done now. So excited to do these last couple steps. Let's get this put together. So cute. I did something very silly. I only put the ruffle around the edge, and it's definitely supposed to be on this bottom edge as well. I think it was supposed to go from here and curve around. I didn't do that. So to problem solve, because I have used every bit of this floral fabric, this is all of it. I don't have any left to spare other than like teeny tiny little bits that have been cut off. So I am just going to finish off this edge with black bias tape, and so there won't be a ruffle, you know, at this base. To give you an idea here, I think this is going to be super cute. So yeah, instead of there being a ruffle here at the front, I'm going to have this black bias tape right here, so it'll just kind of blend in. I'm wearing a black shirt right now, so you can kind of tell it'll just blend in there, and then the ruffles will start from here over. So I think that will work. We're just making do with what we have here. Now I am sewing the collar onto the bodice. Now I am going to do the ties. Slipped it on and wanted to go off of where this tie is actually, because this works really well for my bust. So I just kind of marked that here where that will be, and I'm just going to make sure that it's even on both sides. And this is going to be the most important tie. The second one is just going to be lower down. It isn't as important. This is the one that's, you know, make or break whether or not it's comfortable to wear without something underneath it. So let's go ahead and unfortunately cut into this a little bit, since I did not put the ties in when I needed to. Could have done a little better job of doing things in the most efficient order, but c'est la vie. Alright, I have the most important 2 straps sewn on, and now I'm going to try it on quickly just to make sure that this is good and see where I want the second ties. So close to being done. It looks like a finished top. I still have to do the hem and elastic on the sleeves, and then I have to hem the whole bottom, and then it's done. But it's getting late. I've already been working on this, I think, for another 4 hours. So I have other things I need to do today, so wrapping this up here, and then I will put those finishing touches on it tomorrow and then show you the final result. Very excited to get it finished. Definitely the most out of my comfort zone piece I have made yet, and it is really fun. I really like all the details and stuff. I'm still really not sure about my fabric choices, to be honest with you. I'm hoping that once it's completely finished, then I'll feel a little differently. But yeah, so far so good. Really liking this pattern. The only thing is that I have made a few mistakes. It's not one set of instructions for one piece. It's basically split up into 3 separate bits of instruction, 3 separate bits that you print out. Basically, you'll reach a point, it'll be like, okay, now refer to the collar installation. Okay, now refer to the sleeve installation. And so that bit kind of makes it a little bit jumbled too, so it's easy to skip steps or miss something small because you're bouncing back and forth between three different PDFs. So that's my only critique of it, but other than that, good so far. I think that this pattern would be really cute and more of like a cottagecore palette, like some pastels or something really neutral. But I said I would be riskier with my fabrics, and that's what I'm doing. So hopefully it's still something that I wear and still really like. It is fun for Valentine's Day, you know. But anyway, leaving you here, and I will catch back up with you tomorrow to finish this piece. Good morning, friends. This is day 3 of this Destashing Valentine's Day super fun top project. I am so excited to finally finish it. I have plenty of time this morning and can't wait to put these finishing touches on there. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick hem of the sleeves, and then I'm going to work on the elastic bit for the wrist. So let's do it. Of course, there's tea as always. Sometimes simple things in life give me so much pleasure, like being able to match my little tea strainer with my top. Okay, so I just did a quick rolled hem here. In the directions, it doesn't say to do this. It just says to go ahead and do the channel for the elastic, but that would mean that there'd be raw edges loose in the sleeve, which I don't like. I like to make sure all the loose edges are as taken care of as possible. Okay, so I did the rolled hem just so that it's nice and pretty on the inside, and then just went and ironed. For the directions, I believe it says to fold it over 2 centimeters, but these sleeves seemed pretty long on me, so I tried them on and decided that I would need to take them in further than that. So always remember to not follow the directions blindly. Make sure you're testing everything and that it's working for you as you go. Always good to not follow directions blindly in life and in sewing. So I'm lining up the hem with the stitch line from where I sewed on the rickrack, and then I just ironed that all around so that it's already nice and stable. And then I am going to put a line fairly close to the rickrack where I'm going to slip through my elastic. Super happy and excited that this whole project I've just been able to use things that were in my stash, things that I had on hand. So I think this is a great one to use your spare fabrics, or, you know, destash something. I think you can get really creative with which fabrics you're using, kind of like I did, to make sure that you're using what you have on hand. And then what's needed for this, you know, the rickrack was obviously extra, but I did have that on hand also. And then, you know, elastic I'm sure you have on hand. And besides that, yeah, it's really just fabric. So I think this is a really good one for scraps, or yeah, just to destash. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sew this and then get the elastic put in, and we are getting very close. For this stitch that I'm about to do, I'm going to leave about an inch and a half of wiggle room so that I can easily slip through my safety pin with the elastic attached and just be able to, you know, kind of manipulate it in that little bit of space. So don't forget to do that as you go as well. I was thinking about doing a little ruffle on the end as well, but there just wasn't quite enough room between the end of my fabric and where I did the rickrack. But yeah, I think that would be super cute too, to add like the little bit of ruffle. So if you just raise where you put the elastic up a bit and then make sure you do that like rolled hem that I did, then you would have the extra fabric that would just kind of ruffle around your wrist, which I think would be really cute. I always like to leave the gap right where the hem of the sleeve is, because this is already an area that I want to hide. So I'll end up going over this, so you'll have that little bit of back stitching, which is always a little bit thicker and a little less pretty. And then also I like to secure the elastic across like this. So also like stitch in the ditch right here so that that's pretty well hidden as well. But this is just kind of a good, you know, visual marker also, so you can keep track of where it is. And I just think it's easiest to hide the things you need to do to make sure that this is secure in this area. And then I want to go ahead and pin this where I'm going to want to sew it later. So I'm going to get it lined up so that it crosses over that seam that I'm going to go over later. And make sure it's super secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and push the safety pin the rest of the way around. Okay, and so then for this, I'm going to push the safety pin through. I'm going to try to push everything away from where I'm going to be sewing so that this is nice and flat. From here, I want to go ahead and connect these two pieces. I just feel like it gives it a little more security than just counting on it staying from this stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and unpin it. Make sure it doesn't slip away. And I'm going to go ahead and hem that together quickly. So give myself lots of wiggle room so that I don't lose it. Okay, and now I'm going to stretch this back in a little bit. And now I know I won't lose one of the pieces. Then I'm going to stabilize it right here in the middle. And now we stitch in the ditch. Also going to go ahead and finish off this line here. And there we have it. Now it is a nice gathered end of my sleeve. I think it looks cute. Okay, sleeves are done. Now the last official step is to hem the bottom of the top. It's so close to being done. Okay, so time to hem. Okay, that is a completed top. I'm going to slip it on, make sure that everything is good, give it one last press, and then I will show you the final result. Final result. I'm super happy with it actually. I had multiple times throughout this where I got really nervous about doing these fabrics, and I'm so glad that I just kept pushing through. I love it. I originally bought this fabric just because it was beautiful to me. I just thought that the colors and everything were so pretty, and I thought it was worth buying even though I had no idea what to do with it. And then it sat in my stash for about a year. I think I bought it last spring. And I'm just so happy that it finally has a home and that I can finally actually wear it. Yeah, I just think it's a super happy, cute top. I think by the time you're watching this, it is Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day, happy Galentine's Day, happy Love Day. One of my favorite things about Valentine's Day since I was a kid was dressing up for it. I think it's just a great day to be over the top or girly or, you know, whatever you want. You can do that any day, but I think this is perfect. This is like a nice way for me to celebrate, because on a Wednesday or something, you're probably not really doing anything on actual Valentine's Day, but I like to wear something that feels festive and fun, and this totally suits the bill. I feel like I'll wear this during the day for every Valentine's Day now. It's not a date night top exactly. Definitely has girl gaze written all over it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really glad that I went out of my comfort zone. I definitely don't think that this is a top for everyone. Let me know down below if you like it. I feel like it could definitely go either way, but it makes me happy, so I'm really glad that I made it. I'm glad that I used fabric that I wouldn't usually. Rickrack was so fun to use for the first time. I think it adds such a fun touch. I would recommend this pattern. I think the sizing is good. I went up a little bit to a size small, and it's not quite as oversized as I was hoping. I think that if I make it again, I might even do a medium, just because I think that this style looks really cute, even like a little bit bigger and boxier, but it fits well. The pattern itself comes in pieces, so it's a set of instructions for the sleeves, a set of instructions for the collar, a set of instructions for the top, and I did find that to be a little bit confusing. It's definitely easy to miss little things or just not know when the best time to do something would be. For that reason, it's not super beginner friendly. I would think more intermediate. Collar, for instance, having made it now, I would prefer to make it so that collar is sandwiched between the outer fabric and the facing. Right now I have it on top because it wasn't really put into the instructions when to add that for the bodice part. So if you do make it, just do what I didn't and read through each set of instructions first before you make it, which is probably a good idea anyway. But it is nice if you can just open up a pattern and go from one step to another and have it be a little more seamless. But it will get you the result if you like this style top. I think if I was buying fabric for this would have turned out a lot different, but since I was trying to approach it as a de-stash, as a use things that have been like sitting in my fabric stash for a while, I think that it turned out great. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed coming on this journey. I hope that this gives you some inspiration to dig through your fabric stash, find something that, you know, you love the look of, but you haven't found an excuse to use, or maybe it's in a really small quantity. You kind of need to piece it together. I think that because this is done in multiple pieces, it's a really good one for that. And yeah, I hope that you have a wonderful love day, wonderful Valentine's Day, a wonderful week in general. If you're still here, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for all of you who have done that. I'm not sure what the etiquette is on announcing this, but I did get monetized at the beginning of February, and I am so grateful and so excited that you guys are liking my videos enough for YouTube to pay me for them, and that just means that I can create more content and do this more and more. Let me know if you have any ideas, any thoughts on videos that you want to see from me. I have lots of ideas and things coming up, but I'd love to hear from you guys what you want to see, because I'm still learning as I go here. But yeah, thank you so much for helping me to be monetized. Thank you every single one of you who have liked or subscribed and especially watched. 4,000 watch hours seemed like such an unbelievable goal to me. I really thought it was going to take so much longer. So thank you so much, all of you who have sat through all my videos and watched them enough for that to be possible. Blows my mind. So thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day. I will see you next week. Bye.